Reed Sheppard finished second on my 2024 NBA Draft Big Board and landed an A+ draft grade from myself when the Houston Rockets selected him third overall. And for a team that at the time very badly needed some reliable three-point shooting out on the perimeter, boy, did they get that with Reed Sheppard. He has been an absolute sniper, flamethrower, assassin, marksman, whatever adjective you want to throw out there to describe Reed Sheppard. It's probably not doing him justice because of how well he's shooting the basketball to begin the year, where he's averaging over 12 points per game and over 3 assists per game in just 22 minutes of action each night. On top of those scoring and passing numbers, he's adding in 1.4 steals per game as well in that limited opportunity he's had, not playing 30 plus minutes a night, but being very productive and effective and efficient in his minutes that he's earned. In today's video, we're going to break down everything that we've seen from Reed Sheppard as a player early in the season. What things is he doing well? And take a look at areas where he still has room to grow, which should excite Houston Rockets fans. Now, if you do enjoy the video film study today, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more future NBA content. The best place to start, in my opinion, with Reed Sheppard is the shooting department, where he's connecting on 50% of his three-pointers. I'm going to say that again. 50% of his three-point attempts have gone in this season, which is ridiculous. And it's no small feat either from a volume standpoint, where in just those 22 minutes a night we talked about a second ago, he's shooting nearly 6 triples per game, which is incredible volume on a per minute basis. And it's lending itself toward a perfect true shooting percentage, nearly at around 64.8% true shooting. Now, it's not a perfect true shooting percentage, but I hope my message comes across clearly here that it's a ridiculous true shooting percentage, especially since he isn't making his free throws at a great rate right now. I do expect that to change as the season goes on. We get a bigger, larger sample size. So maybe that true shooting percentage even ticks upward. He has been an absolute laser from behind the three-point line. And let's take a look at some of that catch and shoot volume specifically to start. He's been an extremely effective catch and shoot player for a long time now, going back to his tape at Kentucky, his high school AAU film, and now obviously early in his NBA career as well, which is not surprising. And specifically, he's been a great fit off of Amen Thompson, especially when teams give Amen Thompson this much space. You see Sam Hauser playing gap defense off of Amen Thompson, sagging him, allowing him to get some dribble drive penetration. And then what it does is it forces help to react to him, especially as he nears the paint. It opens up some of those kickout opportunities. Reed does a great job running in transition. You'll notice a lot of these clips are early transition or secondary transition opportunities for the Houston Rockets as well. But then one of the biggest things that I think is a huge success story for the Houston Rockets this season, and one of the biggest changes in their overall team philosophy, is fading away from the bad pull-up three-point attempts that this team has seen over the last couple of years with Fred VanVleet and Jalen Green driving the ship, and instead seeing effective catch-and-shoot play and seeing effective off-the-catch readiness off of their best player, Alperen Sengun, who has been brilliant this season. You'll notice here Sengun, who has such a unique, diverse skill set, when he does put the ball in the deck, go to a spin, and ultimately draw a double here from Baylor Scheierman, who tries to meet him on the spin. Someone like Reed Sheppard, who Scheierman gambles off of here and leaves him wide open. You don't want to do that against Reed Sheppard. And this is one of the most obvious benefits the Rockets had when they drafted Reed Sheppard third overall, is they're going to get an absolute marksman who, off of their other highly drafted players, their lottery picks or near lottery picks like Alperen Sengun was, obviously Amen Thompson, a top 3 pick in his draft class. These guys draw attention and they draw bodies here. I think this clip from last night's game against the Washington Wizards is a great example, where after a dribble handoff to Amen Thompson, Cam Whitmore, Alex Sarr, and Chris Middleton are all showing to Amen Thompson's body, which now puts Bub Carrington into a real nightmare scenario where he probably has to show to Alperen Sengun's body, and by doing so, he will be leaving Reed Sheppard unattended, which again is a big no-no. So after Amen Thompson kicks the ball out, Sengun hits that boom series immediately with an extra swing pass, Reed Sheppard's not going to miss that. We know that. The NBA teams that are guarding him should know that, but he continues to get open looks because the Rockets not only are moving the ball better this season, but they actually have guys who can make the shots off of it, which is just beautiful to watch. Here, Reed Sheppard initiates against a zone the kick over to Amen Thompson. And of course, the Washington Wizards here in a 2-3 zone with 2 guards up top, and then your 3 guys in the back line here of your defense. And the Rockets are countering this with a simple umbrella look, something you see a lot in hockey, in the power play, but also in NBA basketball and pretty much any level of basketball where you get this 1-3-1 look where Capella is going to work dunker spot to dunker spot. You have 3 guys across, usually kind of in this area of the court. Tari Eason a little bit lower, but that does still drag Corey Kispert out of the picture here. On the big area of the floor that's scary for zone defenses is this middle of the floor. So with Şengün working right out of the middle of the floor, it puts, again, pressure on Bub Carrington here to show his body into the middle. Now, Marvin Bagley does not do a good job containing this either. The Wizards could do a much better job containing this, so that should not be surprising. The Wizards have struggled defensively all season. Amen Thompson, though, takes advantage of that against Bub Carrington, and Reed Sheppard is the Rockets' zone breaker. You can't run zone against Reed Sheppard because he's got elite range, a very quick trigger, and he's an absolute marksman. You just don't want to leave him open. But here's another team doing it. Milwaukee trying to run zone against Alperen Şengün and the Houston Rockets. And the Rockets' spacing isn't even great here. Amen Thompson and Jabari Smith have a little bit of confusion on who's going to be the flash player to the nail. They both end up flashing, but ultimately Amen Thompson clears out. Jabari Smith lifts up out of it, and that puts, again, a Bucks guard in a position where he's guarding 2 players between Jabari Smith Jr. at the top of the key and Reed Sheppard over on the left break. Ryan Rollins having a great season. He can't guard 2 players at one time. Reed Sheppard gets a wide open 3-pointer. Again, Reed Sheppard's such an invaluable tool for this team because of his ability to shoot the basketball, play off the catch, both in early transition, off of Alperen Şengün's gravity, and then also breaking open zones and making team defenses bleed when they leave him open. He's been absolutely brilliant in catch and shoot scenarios, but he also has provided a bit of movement. And this is a really important topic for me here to talk about. If you're a Houston Rockets fan, you know Ime Udoka's offense does not have a ton of movement. If you watch the Utah Jazz play under Will Hardy and you watch the Houston Rockets play right after, they look like 2 completely different teams stylistically. And for good reason, right? The Rockets are a little bit bigger. They want to crash the offensive glass. They've done a lot of very good things offensively. So it's not diminishing what Ime Udoka and the Rockets have done, but there is significantly less creativity in some of their half-court sets. And that's okay, especially when you have a guy like Reed Sheppard who's so good at inducing movement. And there's a few different kinds of movement. There's scripted and unscripted movement. And we're going to look at both in this video today, talk about why Reed Sheppard is such a perfect fit for Houston because he brings some of those unscripted elements to their offense, but it also drives their coaching staff to providing some scripted elements as well. This one here, I talked earlier about him being able to play off of Amen Thompson. This is an unscripted relocation. As Amen Thompson drives here off the right slot, CJ McCollum does a decent job containing him, which is a very challenging thing to do against Amen Thompson, one of the best athletes to ever touch a basketball. But an NBA trend is not seeing man to look at the basketball, and that is what happens here as we get eyes on the basketball and no longer eyes on Reed Sheppard. A slight relocation from the left slot over to the top of the key is going to give him a wide open catch and shoot 3. And if you guys can't tell the theme of this video, shooting 50% from 3, he's not going to miss a lot of those opportunities. Here, Amen Thompson, again, working downhill against Baylor Shireman, getting into the teeth of the defense. And Reed Sheppard, again, very subtle, but very effective. He is just going to drift into this weak side corner to get into the eyesight of Amen Thompson. So when Amen Thompson gets a paint touch here, he can easily see Reed Sheppard flowing to that corner. Had Reed Sheppard hung out right around here, it's still possible Amen Thompson, who's growing as a playmaker, very likely still could have seen him, but this puts him directly in the sight line of the driver. So had Amen Thompson been a little bit more aggressive toward the rim, it still would have been very likely that he gets this pass. And even with Josh Minot's closeout, he's able to knock it down. Contests don't bother him because of how quick his release is, and his ability to get his feet ready prior to the catch is such an important nuanced detail here as well. This one is a scripted form of movement. The last couple you were looking at just natural relocation, which is unscripted but very effective nonetheless. Now you're looking at a scripted opportunity here. And if you're reading the scouting report here for the Washington Wizards, you're going to say, hey, Reed Sheppard, he's making half of his three-pointers this year. Please do not give up a three-pointer to this guy. So when Amen Thompson comes down to set this screen, the Wizards are going to try and fight over this and deny him this catch off of this action, which would turn into kind of a zoom-looking action with a dribble handoff here, presumably from Steven Adams. But Reed Sheppard's smart and says, oh, you're going to deny me the high side? Well, that's great because elementary basketball says, hey, don't give me a lane to the rim. That's exactly what the Wizards do to try and deny Reed Sheppard his greatest strength. And instead, he just gets a layup at the hoop. Super easy basketball, but very effective scripted offense for the Houston Rockets. And that's not the only form of scripted movement that they do. With Kevin Durant on the right slot here, we're going to see Steven Adams come up and set a flare screen so that Reed Sheppard can push over to the weak side wing, and Kevin Durant can float a pass over the top here to the Houston Rockets' best shooter, which again is highly effective because Miles Turner is not in a position to effectively hedge that, and it turns into a wide open catch and shoot make for Reed Sheppard. Now looking at some other forms of movement shooting here, going back to a relocation example, and then specifically his escape dribble. This is after the catch relocation, after the catch movement, and it's a very nuanced detail, but it's really important. Guys are going to fly at Reed Sheppard. They're going to jump at him on closeouts. His ability to play patiently after relocating, after finding the open space here against the Wizards as well. Slight relocation from Reed to the wing. And then Keyshawn George closes out aggressively. Honestly does a decent job staying on his feet to still get a contest. But Reed Sheppard's able to open up just a little bit of lateral space for him after the catch by moving once again with an escape dribble and doing a great job there. You're starting to see why Reed Sheppard is such a special off-ball talent, and one of the best assets for the Houston Rockets offense this year has been his ability to make shots off of their other players. But he's also done a great job on the basketball, and this is part of what I love so much about Reed Sheppard. Before the draft, I thought, hey, getting a player who can do a little bit of stuff on the ball and a lot of stuff off the ball makes him an impressive player around a variety of different talent. You need him to handle the basketball, run 10, 15, 20 pick and rolls in a game. He can do that for you. You want him flying off of flare screens? He can do that for you. You want him finishing plays in transition? He can do that for you. He is a yes, I can do that player. And he continues to excel because of his variety of play styles that he can provide for an offense. He's not just a specialist. And that's what makes him so special. For the Houston Rockets here, working with Clint Capella in a high 1-5 ball screen, comes off of this here, and his playmaking ability specifically is what impresses me. He engages the defense, he snakes off this screen, and is now engaging the Mavs big man, and as Clint Capella is going to presumably roll down here into the pocket, Cooper Flagg is caught flat-footed, and Reed Sheppard sees that, and he just makes the easy read over the top of the defense with a timely skip. Tari Eason doesn't miss a beat, shoots the basketball confidently, and as you can tell, the Rockets' offense has really shifted away from bad pull-up three-point shots like I talked about earlier into more efficient, more effective, more timely catch-and-shoot opportunities off of dribble drive penetration, off of mid-post catches, and it's led to much better results offensively for the Houston Rockets this season. Here's Sheppard working off of Alperen Şengün, and I think this is honestly one of the better pick-and-roll reps of the entire season, so much so that I'm going to back it up. Very high ball screen. Sheppard still does need to develop his handle a bit to be able to relieve pressure himself one-on-one out on the perimeter. He is a little ball screen reliant to create space at this point in time, but he's very effective off of ball screens. And I think specifically this rep here is such a great example where his patience wins big time. He occupies Victor Wembanyama in drop, ultimately forcing two to stay on the basketball, which drives Jordan McLaughlin over to the short rolling Alperen Şengün, which opens up late shot clock opportunity. Amen Thompson on the weak side of the floor. And you can't even blame Jordan McLaughlin for leaving Amen Thompson here, but a great cross-court pass after Reed Sheppard was able to engage the drop coverage and force rotations before even making a pass opens up that opportunity. I think you're going to see something similar here working in horns with two ball screens coming up for Reed Sheppard. Again, very high ball screens. This has been typical for the Rockets trying to help Sheppard alleviate some of that ball pressure, part of the reason why he's not just flat out a true point guard. But I think there's still steps he can take to grow and improve in that area. He's still very young, just in the second year of his career. One thing Reed Sheppard does very well, he leaves his feet to pass. And I know people are going to say, well, my coach told me don't jump to pass the basketball. Here's the thing. You don't want to jump to try and find a pass, but when you know what the pass is, you can jump to leave your feet to make that pass. And Reed Sheppard does a good job leaving his feet to get vertical passes over the top to his rollers. Specifically in an example like this where he's able to hit Capella in stride over the top of the defense despite his smaller frame and deliver a nice pass. This ghost screen here with Jeff Green, which forces, again, 2 to the basketball, is another great example where he leaves his feet in order to get the basketball up over the top to an action off the ball. And Jeff Green scores off that one as well. I've been very impressed with the process for Reed Sheppard here, and specifically if you look at his ability to work with the other bigs on the team, especially in short roll opportunities here. Şengün setting another very high ball screen. Sheppard does a great job setting it up. I'm even going to go back a little bit here just so you can see it. Watch him work to his right to go back to his left. It gets Jordan McLaughlin hit on this screen. Very good screen from Alperen Şengün. And now from here, Sohan, who is worried about this pull-up three-point opportunity, has to be up. Even though he's in drop, he's still at the three-point line ready to meet him. And then Şengün just rolls into the high pocket right around the nail. And Alperen Şengün's going to make that shot. Alperen Şengün, very talented player. He's having his best season ever in the NBA. He's been absolutely brilliant all year for Houston. A huge driving force behind their winning. And Reed Sheppard's able to find him in the middle of the floor where he's not going to make mistakes. I think this is another great example here of what Sheppard can do off of handoffs. Here he gets the handoff from Alperen Şengün and he's able to work downhill. And again, you're noticing what Reed Sheppard forces to happen a lot. 2 guys to the basketball, which then draws Keyshawn George over to the body of Alperen Şengün, and it puts Corey Kispert into scramble mode between 2 Houston Rockets. And again, we're talking all about catch and shoot volume for the Houston Rockets offense. This is why Corey Kispert, even on the baseline drive, he's worried about the corner because that's the most common pass here. But Reed Sheppard throws a laser left-handed dart to Tari Eason, who's able to get that one to go as well. It's very subtle stuff, but his ability to shoot the ball forces 2 guys to the basketball a ton. It's similar to what we see from Steph Curry in Golden State. Now, no, I'm not comparing Reed Sheppard to Steph Curry. Don't have a heart attack over there watching. But there's a lot of fun stuff happening in Houston, and Reed Sheppard's a big part of the winning here, coming off another dribble handoff. And I think his patience here stands out to me again. Forces nail help, and it's not 2 to the basketball this time, it's 3. We've got multiple Boston Celtics, one in chase here from Baylor Shireman, and then multiple gap helpers and a drop helper worried about Şengün on this roll. A lot of bodies are being shown to Reed Sheppard. He fakes a pass to make a pass. Tari Eason connects on this one. Now, I will go back quick. I do think this is bad scout work from the Boston Celtics, or at least bad execution from the Boston Celtics. With Amen Thompson in the strong side corner here, Sam Hauser should commit on this closeout to Tari Eason. Now, he doesn't. Then Tari Eason's able to make the 3 over Chris Boucher, but I do think, again, you probably can live with leaving Amen Thompson open in the corner. The Celtics don't do that there, though. The execution isn't great, and Sheppard's pass over to Tari Eason turns into an assist. Here we are off of another dribble handoff, this time with Clint Capella, and this is talking about leaving your feet to make a pass. If you have a plan in mind, you can do it. Brilliant lob pass over the top. This is a clip that really stands out to me. Alperen Şengün working in the mid-post against P.J. Washington on an isolated side of the floor. Notice he's working in this outer third of the court by himself. No one on that side of the floor. And the Rockets are overloading the weak side heavily, which when the Mavericks want to show a second body, kind of complicates their rotation because they have multiple guys in the dunker spot. And if you want to know why Houston's doing such a great job rebounding the basketball, part of it is proximity to the rim, as well as the type of athletes that they have, the type of talent that they have rebounding the basketball. A lot of it works together out of the mid-post. So their offense is very congruent with itself. And when Alperen Şengün ultimately does go to attack here, you see the Mavs are now in scramble mode because they're trying to double the basketball, which now forces Klay Thompson out at Reed Sheppard. And now, again, you're leaving Caleb Martin on an island here between both Amen Thompson and Josh Okogie, who's shooting the ball very well this season. Reed Sheppard knows that, catches, and attacks this poor closeout from Klay Thompson getting downhill. Ultimately, Caleb Martin stuck between 2 guys here. He makes the wrong decision, leaving Amen Thompson open in the dunker spot for an easy layup. And I think Reed Sheppard's willingness to play off the catch, his readiness to play off the catch, and then be a connector in their offense is super valuable, whether it's connecting off the catch, driving and making the right read, or swinging the basketball in ball reversal scenarios. Here, Alperen Şengün gets him another assist off the catch here to end the third quarter in their cup game against San Antonio. So the passing looks really good, both off the dribble and in connective fashions. His off-the-dribble scoring has taken a huge leap forward this year as well. I think specifically being able to play with screeners like Şengün, Steven Adams, who give you different kinds of screen value. Adams, one of the best big physical screen setters. He's going to get good hits on the perimeter all the time, and it's going to let you play into space like we see here in this clip, where he's going to be able to work downhill at the drop coverage big in Victor Wembanyama. And then also Şengün, much different, but he's going to give you that short roll value. He's going to be able to play out of the pocket, has really great hands, next level playmaking ability off the catch as well. It makes Houston really difficult to guard when you have multiple good screeners who can do different things off of it. Here, again, patience I think is huge. Reed Sheppard doesn't rush into anything. Waits until Wembanyama retreats a little bit lower, worried about this Steven Adams roll, and then Sheppard rises up for his mid-range pull-up jump shot. Again, with this level of shooting talent, you're able to convert off of difficult makes. There he takes Cole Anthony's ankles, gets to the opposite elbow from last time, and still converts at that left elbow with the nice jump shot. Here is the Houston Rockets ram action. I will back it up just a little bit to make sure that we cover this fully for you guys. So ram action is when we get a screen into a ball screen. And what you're going to see as Alperen Şengün sets the screen on Amen Thompson's guy, it puts Jaren Jackson Jr. just a little bit behind the play. Doesn't even actually get a good hit here. But against Amen Thompson, the Grizzlies are willing to play and drop. And Reed Sheppard knows that. And he's just going to take what's given to him. A wide open pull-up three. Reed Sheppard shooting about 60% from three this year on pull-up opportunities. No, I did not misspeak. About 60% on pull-up threes this season. It is the most ridiculous stat in the NBA right now. He has been absolutely brilliant, and against drop coverage, he will make team defenses bleed if you're going to defend him this way. He did it against Washington. He did it against San Antonio. Here's a horns look from the Houston Rockets, and he just says, hey, forget the horns look. I'm just open. Let me let this fly.
I'm wide open. I'm going to let this fly.
And he gets it to go as the Spurs had a little bit of a miscommunication. Now up comes Alperen Şengün, again, Victor Wembanyama in drop coverage. That's just too much space. Even with how big and long Victor Wembanyama is at 7'5" with an 8-foot plus wingspan, that's just not in the picture for a guy like Reed Sheppard, who is such a great shooter. Here he is coming off a dribble handoff. Handoffs are essentially the same thing as ball screens. And with Cam Spencer in chase, he's able to work downhill. And this is where having two different kinds of bigs is such a brilliant equation for the Houston Rockets, because if Reed Sheppard elects to not take this jump shot, look who's filling into the pocket behind him for what would be a super easy opportunity. Now that ultimately doesn't manifest itself. Reed Sheppard instead just makes a nice pull-up mid-range jump shot off of that look. Another kind of dribble handoff ball screen action here, and Reed Sheppard works PJ Washington, goes into a step back three. Now we're seeing him work with Clint Capella, and then getting into some float action, getting into the paint. And that's something I want to see him do even a little bit better of a job at, is getting his feet downhill. Very decisive here. Waits out off the Kevin Durant small-to-small screen. Not really a small-to-small screen when Kevin Durant's almost 7 feet tall, but you get the picture. You understand what I'm talking about. Flowing off of another dribble handoff here with Alperen Şengün. Really nice gather to get to a right-handed floater. And you're noticing how the talent around Reed Sheppard opens up a lot of other stuff for him. He's been extremely successful this year, playing off the catch, playing off of the surrounding talent, and then maximizing all of those gaps to his advantage and to the Houston Rockets' advantage, where it's just very difficult to guard them. So when the ball swings, finds his hands again, he's going to be met with a high hand, and then he shows off his scoring talent in other ways other than just shooting three-pointers. Mid-range fadeaways, floaters, some soft touch, the ability to attack back closeouts like that one from Giannis there, and rise into pull-up mid-range jump shots. It's not crazy. It's not anything that you're watching and going, oh my gosh, that's so special, but it's just consistently very, very good. And that's what makes the Houston Rockets a much better team this year. But it's not just the offensive end. I want to talk about the defense here as well for Reed Sheppard, who's actually boasting some really incredible defensive numbers. I talked about the 1.4 steals per game earlier in this video. Here are some of the advanced numbers defensively for him. Now, this is prior to the game on Wednesday night against the Washington Wizards. but he had a 4.0 BPM overall with a positive 1.1 defensive BPM at this point of the year. And then also his steal rate and block rate are just really incredible stuff for a player, especially of his size, when defense was going to be such a question for him. Pre-draft, before the 2024 draft, I talked at length about his defensive activity level, IQ, and the activity of his hands, the quickness of his hands being such a great asset for him, which is going to hide some of his other deficiencies in terms of size and actual ability to stay in front of his man at all times, because he's made up for it with the activity level. Being able to back tap, being able to get his hands on the basketball on the defensive end of the floor, and then generating some transition opportunities. Houston already dominates the math game in terms of possessions. They've been dominating the math game in terms of making three-pointers this year, and now they're also dominating in terms of forcing turnovers, getting out and running, and Reed Sheppard, of course, has been a real positive for them in that regard as well. The back taps specifically are what are so impressive to me, where he's able to get his hands on the basketball. He's very aggressive, swiping at the ball, but then it turns into transition opportunities because he's making proactive efforts on the ball, trying to turn the basketball and not giving up inches of the floor. This was a brilliant back tap against Cole Anthony that gets the Houston Rockets out and running there. And you're just seeing very consistent levels of attention to detail and effort on the defensive end of the floor, where he's able to get his hands low, anticipate crossovers, anticipate making defensive plays. This one was very Mike Conley-esque, ripping Giannis in transition. It's a gutsy play there. Here's a really big one in the fourth quarter as well against Milwaukee, where off the sideline inbounds, he's able to not only force a turnover on AJ Green, but then he turns it into a transition corner three-point opportunity. But it's not just steals, it's also blocks. And I think specifically this one right here is a great one to look at. Watch his timing here off this. I'm going to try and pause it right at the right frame. He's literally leaving his feet before Gary Trent Jr. does. He is anticipating the rise up of Gary Trent Jr. and meets him at the apex for a block before it even leaves his hand. And I think that timing, that anticipation is a very rare skill, especially for guards. And it's honestly kind of funny because Reed Sheppard's not this big, huge athletic guard, but he's very anticipatory and understands tendencies and understands what is likely going to happen ahead of him. That's what makes him such a decisive player on the offensive end of the floor while utilizing patience to his advantage. He also is very decisive defensively. Here in this action, it's a Horns action from Washington, does a great job switching off of Kispert onto the basketball and then fights over this Marvin Bagley screen. Ultimately, Bagley slips it a little early, probably could have gotten a better hit. But again, Reed Sheppard takes off before Bub Carrington does and meets him at the apex again before the ball is released, and it ultimately turns into Houston Rockets basketball because of Sheppard's anticipation skills. And I think the biggest takeaway from this video here, we don't need to pigeonhole prospects into are they an on-ball player or an off-ball player. In fact, I really think the best tool for a player is to be good in both areas because it makes them great fits next to other talented players. And this is a great example. Jonathan Wasserman, who does a lot of great stuff around the NBA draft for Bleacher Report, his pre-draft analysis on Reed Sheppard really stemmed on, hey, can this guy be an on-ball creator only? And that was a huge part of his discussion around Reed Sheppard's talent level, ceiling, pedigree. And for me, I just never understood that perspective because every single postseason, you need multiple guards who can handle the ball. But they can't just be exclusive to each other. It can't be like what Atlanta had with DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. They need to be players who can fit off of each other. And the beautiful thing about Reed Sheppard as a basketball player is he's a basketball player. He knows what to do with the ball in his hands. He knows what to do without the ball in his hands. And he's a threat in both facets, which makes him a great fit around a guy like Alperen Şengün. It makes him a great fit around Amen Thompson. And it'll make him a great fit around whoever Houston puts around him moving forward because he understands how to play basketball. The value of a guy who can be on the ball and off the ball effectively is so immense. It's so great. And it's honestly irreplaceable, which is why Reed Sheppard is a budding star for the Houston Rockets this year. I really hope you guys have enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the very next Utility Sports video.